Hello, Philsci Hubbers, and to our viewers na nanonood ngayon sa Filipino Science Hub. I'm Angelica Pagaran, or you can call me Angge. Isa akong intern dito sa Philsci Hub, and I'm currently a third year BS Biology student major in Cell and Molecular Biology at Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. For some na nag-tune in sa Filipino Science Hub sa ating last topic, we are discussing the cellular respiration and na-discuss na natin yung tungkol sa glycolysis and the introduction. So, ngayon naman, i-discuss natin yung tungkol sa Kreb cycle and electron transport chain. Pero before we proceed, recap lang tayo guys sa na-discuss natin nung nakaraan. So, yung cellular respiration, isang metabolic process kung saan kino-convert ng cell yung pagkain na ini-intake natin or yung sugar in form of glucose para ma-convert siya into usable energy, which is the ATP. So, yung glucose or sugar is available sa mga foods na kinakain natin, while yung ATP naman, ito yung energy currency of the cell. Ito yung parang pera natin na pinangbibili natin sa labas or sa mga tindahan. Pero sa cell, ito yung ginagamit naman natin to consume para sa different activities ng cell natin. And meron tayong glucose at oxygen na kino-convert into water, carbon dioxide, and ATP, or the energy. So, yung cellular respiration composed siya of glycolysis, Kreb cycle, and electron transport chain. At na-discuss na natin last time yung glycolysis. So, if you want to check muna yung lecture natin about the introduction ng cellular respiration or glycolysis, so you can check yung caption natin and we will include yung link ng part 1 ng lecture na to, which includes yung introduction ng cellular respiration and the glycolysis. I suggest na panoorin nyo muna yung video na yon before going through this lecture video para mas maintindihan nyo yung topic na to. So, ayun, napag-usapan din natin nung nakaraan na yung glycolysis ay nangyayari sa cytoplasm, pati na rin yung transformation ng pyruvate into acetyl-CoA, while yung Kreb cycle ay nangyayari sa ating mitochondrial matrix. And yung electron transport chain naman ay nangyayari sa mitochondrial inner membrane. So, before tayo mag-proceed sa Kreb cycle or the second pathway, meron munang transition reaction na nangyayari. Ito ay nangyayari sa ating cytoplasm. And during this transition, yung product natin na pyruvate, nagkakaroon ng certain reaction in order to convert these 3 carbon molecule into 2 molecules of the 2 carbon molecule acetyl coenzyme A or acetyl-CoA and 2 molecules of carbon dioxide. Itong acetyl-CoA yung kakailanganin natin for the second part ng ating cellular respiration. So for the next pathway, we have the Kreb cycle or tinatawag din siyang citric acid cycle. And pwede din tricarboxylic acid cycle. Itong pathway na to, nangyayari siya sa prokaryotic cells in the cytoplasm, while sa eukaryotic cells or even as animals, even yung mga plants, it happens in the mitochondrial matrix. And na-discover ito ni Hans Adolf Krebs kung saan nagkaroon naman siya ng Nobel Prize kasama ni Prince Albert Lippmann. Itong Kreb cycle ay isang metabolic process kung saan nagpo-produce ng ATP and it happens pagkatapos ng transition reaction na diniscuss natin kanina and converting this acetyl-CoA into ATP and other biomolecules. So this process, meron nangyayari na pag-oxidize ng iba't ibang glucose derivatives, fatty acid, amino acid, carbon dioxide, through a series of iba't ibang enzyme. And ngayon, iisa-isahin natin yung 8th step ng cycle na to, which is a series of redox, dehydration, hydration, and decarboxylation reaction na nagpo-produce ng 2 carbon dioxide molecules, 1 GTP or ATP, and reduced forms of NADH and FADH2. So, ayun, let's start. So, step 1 natin, wherein we have this enzyme known as citrate synthase, kung saan nagkakaroon ng condensation ng acetyl-CoA with oxaloacetate to form this citrate molecule. And itong water molecule na present, ina-attack niya yung acetylene, leading into the releasing ng coenzyme A from the complex. And dito naman sa second step natin, we have the acontinase enzyme, kung saan yung citrate naman is nare-rearrange to form an isometric form of isocitrate. Dito naman yung water molecule ay nare-remove from the citric acid and pinuput back siya into another location. So the overall effect of this conversion, kung saan yung OH group natin ay namumove from the third carbon into the fourth position carbon on the molecule. And this transformation, nag-yield siya into molecule known as the isocitrate. So for the third step, meron naman tayong isocitrate trihydrogenase that catalyzes the oxidative decarboxylation of isocitrate to form alpha-ketoglutarate. Dito naman nagkakaroon ng generation ng NADH galing sa NAD+, kung saan nagkakaroon ng removing of carbon dioxide molecule para maging alpha-ketoglutarate yung molecule. While dito naman sa step 4, we have the alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, which is an enzyme kung saan yung alpha-ketoglutarate na molecule natin kanina ay ma-oxidize siya para makapag-form ng 4-carbon compound, succinyl-CoA. And dito naman ginagamit yung alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase enzyme kung saan yung NAD+ ay nare-reduce into NADH at meron tayong free na hydrogen molecule. So for the fifth step naman, we have the succinyl-CoA synthase enzyme kung saan yung CoA natin is removed from succinyl-CoA to produce succinate. Dito makikita nyo na may conversion na nangyayari from GDP, naging GTP, and from ADP, nagiging ATP. Ayun, dito meron na tayong yielding ng ATP molecule. So, meron na tayong product na ATP. While here, sa step 6, we have the succinate dehydrogenase enzyme kung saan yung succinate naman is being oxidized to fumarate. Along with it, nagkakaroon ng conversion from FAD to FADH2 kung saan yung hydrogen molecules are removed and react dun sa FAD to form this double-banded molecule, which is the fumarate. For the seventh step naman, we have this fumarase enzyme kung saan nagkakaroon ng reversible hydration ng fumarate to L-malate. And nagkakaroon dito ng rearrangement process habang ina-add yung hydrogen and oxygen back into the substrate na kanina na-remove, tapos bumalik ulit. So, rearrange it into a malate. So, for our last step naman, we have this malate dehydrogenase enzyme kung saan yung malate ay na-oxidize naman siya to produce oxaloacetate. And meron din tayong ditong conversion ng NAD+ to NADH. And along with it, meron tayong nagiging product na hydrogen atom. During this oxidation, yung NAD+ is being reduced to NADH and nagkakaroon din tayo ng free hydrogen atom and this oxaloacetate compound molecule. So, ayun, yun yung kakailanganin natin tandaan sa steps ng Kreb cycle. And I know na you are also exhausted by the terms, by the enzymes, pero here, I prepare yung mga intermediates of citric acid cycle by presenting to you a mnemonics para matandaan natin yung mga intermediates. So, let us remember that our city is kept safe and secure from mobsters. Meaning, oxaloacetate, citrate, isocitrate, alpha-ketoglutamate, succinyl-CoA, succinate, and fumarate. Ayan. So, I hope na naintindihan nyo na yung Kreb cycle by this time. And if medyo nahihirapan pa rin kayo, you can always go back dito sa video natin sa Filipino Science Hub. Ayan, so recap lang muna sa Kreb cycle natin. Bale, yung pinaka-net equation natin dito from acetyl-CoA, NAD, molecule FAD, ATP, HPO4, meron tayong ma-yield na carbon dioxide molecules, CoA, NADH, FADH, and dalawang ATP molecules. So kung mapapansin nyo, by this time, yung glycolysis natin only yields 2 ATP and our Krebs cycle only yields 2 ATP lang din ulit. So, kung mapapansin nyo, enough ba siya to power yung mga activities natin inside the cell? Siyempre, kakailanganin natin ng large amount of energy. So, dito na papasok yung third na pathway natin, which is the electron transport chain or yung tinatawag nating oxidative phosphorylation. Dito kadalasan yung pinakamadami na ATP na nai-yield. So, from NADH, FADH2, and oxygen, nakakailanganin natin, we will be able to produce NAD+, H2O, and 32 to 34 ATPs. And nangyayari ito sa inner mitochondrial membrane natin. Kung mapapansin natin yung structure ng mitochondria, meron siyang parang inner foldings sa loob. Yung inner foldings na yun creates large surface area, and yung mga membrane na to, dito nangyayari yung tinatawag natin na electron transport chain. And it is actually powered by a chemical gradient kung saan merong difference ng charges or concentration inside and outside of the membrane. And gumagamit din tayo dito ng several electron carrier. So, bago natin i-discuss yung mga steps ng electron transport chain, allow me to discuss to you yung chemiosmosis hypothesis. Sinasabi dito na movement of hydrogen ions is from low to high concentration to generate the chemical gradient. Ang nangyayari kasi, inside the membrane, kapag mababa na yung concentration ng hydrogen, pumupunta siya sa kung saan mataas yung concentration. So, from inside, it will go outside. And yung gradient na yon, na kapag merong difference ng concentration ng hydrogen ions, nagke-create siya ng force for those molecules to move along that chemical gradient. So, yun yung pinaka-main mechanism na nangyayari dito sa electron transport chain. Dahil nagkakaroon ng difference ng concentration ng hydrogen ions, nagmo-move siya from different part ng membrane. Inner, outside the membrane, or outside to the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So, yung electron transport chain releases yung energy stored within the reduced hydrogen carriers in order to synthesize ATP. And pwede rin natin siyang tawagin na oxidative phosphorylation dahil habang nagkakaroon ng oxidation ng hydrogen carriers, ay nagkakaroon tayo ng production ng ATP. And itong oxidative phosphorylation or electron transport chain occurs in 3 different steps. First is the generating of a proton motive force. Next naman is the ATP synthesis via chemiosmosis. And lastly, the reduction of oxygen. So ngayon, iisa-isahin natin yung tatlong steps na to. First is the generating of a proton motive force. Ang nangyayari dito, yung electrons are being transferred to the electron transport chain. And yung movement nitong hydrogen ions creates electrochemical gradient or proton motive force. Kung makikita nyo, itong mga FAD na free-flowing lang siya dito. And NADH, tinatransfer niya yung hydrogen ions dito sa labas. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, andito yung low hydrogen ions concentration and nandito yung high hydrogen ions concentration. So itong NAD and FADH, they transfer ions dito sa outer membrane wherein meron tayong high hydrogen concentration. And habang nag-move itong mga hydrogen ions, itong mga proton pumps also work para ma-transfer yung mga molecules from one side to another. Next naman is the ATP synthesis via chemiosmosis, kung saan itong proton motive force, hinahayaan niya na yung hydrogen ions pumasok ulit dahil dun sa electrochemical gradient. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, kung low concentration ng hydrogen ions dito at lumabas sila, ito na yung magiging high concentration and also they will move down para pumasok sila ulit para magkaroon ng balance. And as these hydrogen ions move through the ATP synthase, itong ATP synthase na to, magkakaroon siya ng molecular rotation of the enzyme at magsisynthesize siya ng ATP. So, itong ADP lalapit at masisynthesize siya into ATP. And this whole process, gamit ang isang glucose, nakakaproduce siya ng 32 to 34 ATP molecules. And lastly, itong tinatawag natin ng reduction of oxygen. Dahil yung oxygen, nag-act siya as the final electron acceptor, removing the de-energized electrons. Ito, kung mapapansin nyo dito, may lalapit sa pump na tumamaya na oxygen molecule. And this oxygen, magpo-form siya ng water. So, kailangan itong step na to para continuously na magpa-function yung process na ito. And para yung mga de-energized electrons can be removed. At kung wala tong oxygen na to, yung mga hydrogen carriers, hindi nila kayang i-transfer yung energized electrons to the chain and yung ATP production will be halted. So, ayun, yun yung nangyayari sa electron transport chain. And summary lang, ang nangyayari naman dito by having NADH, FADH2, oxygen, and O2, nagkakaroon tayo ng product na NAD+, H2O, and meron din tayong 32 to 34 ATPs. Dahil yung hydrogen carriers natin na NADH and FADH2, dinodonate nila yung high energy electrons nila to the electron transport chain. And as the electrons move sa chain na yun, nagkakaroon ng transfer ng electron doon sa electron transport. So, the electron carriers use yung energy na yun to pump hydrogen ions from the matrix and into the intermembrane space. So, that's it for the 3 parts of the cellular respiration. Pero before we end, i-share ko lang sa inyo yung iba pang types ng cellular respiration. But this time, we will be discussing yung anaerobic respiration. Kung mapapansin nyo kanina, after ng glycolysis, when we have aerobic respiration or meron tayong present na oxygen, ang mangyayari, magpo-proceed siya sa Krebs cycle, then electron transport chain. Pero ano naman yung mangyayari kapag walang oxygen? So dito na mangyayari yung tinatawag natin na lactic acid fermentation. So ang nangyayari dito, yung pyruvate na nare-release, nagkakaroon ng lactate as a product and it further became lactic acid. Nangyayari siya sa muscle cells natin when oxygen is not available during exercise. And kadalasan, nagkukos siya ng pain kapag ka nagbi-build up yung lactic acid na to sa ating muscle cells. So kapag ka meron tayong vigorous exercise and oxygen is not available, ito yung nangyayari sa ating cells. Next naman is the alcohol fermentation or tinatawag nating ethanol fermentation. Convert naman natin dito ay ethanol and carbon dioxide and nangyayari siya with the presence of yeast and bacteria. Example na nito ay yung mga wine and beers natin. And after glycolysis, yung pyruvate na napoproduce. Pag wala tayong oxygen na present, nag-undergo siya ng anaerobic respiration, which is the alcoholic fermentation. So, ayun, we have reached the end of this lecture video. So, in summary, yung cellular respiration ay isang cellular or metabolic process kung saan kino-convert natin yung food or yung glucose into usable energy or the ATP. And yung ATP natin ay ang tinatawag nating energy currency of the cell kung saan kailangan natin ito para magamit yung resources natin or the glucose into a usable energy. The cellular respiration composed of 3 pathways, which is the glycolysis, Kreb cycle, and the electron transport chain. Yung glycolysis is an anaerobic respiration kung saan nahati yung glucose into 2 pyruvates at nangyayari siya sa cytoplasm. Next naman, yung pyruvates na yun will be converted to acetyl-CoA which is needed sa Krebs cycle natin to produce ATP and nangyayari naman siya sa mitochondrial matrix. And after that, yung electron transport chain produces ATP by creating a gradient of protons in the membrane. And by the way, yung sa glycolysis, pwede siyang mag-proceed agad sa electron transport chain dahil meron tayong mga hydrogen carriers na product during the glycolysis and pwede na siya agad pumasok sa ating electron transport chain. So that's it. Thank you for listening sa lecture video about the cellular respiration. And I hope na nakatulong ako sa inyo para maintindihan nyo yung very complex pero important na topic sa biology. And kung interested kayo sa mga ganitong klase ng content, you can follow us in Facebook, on TikTok, and pwede rin kayong mag-subscribe sa aming YouTube channel. And you can also visit our page at philscihub.com. And stay tuned dahil meron pa kaming mga lecture videos and other materials that can help you understand different topics about science. So, if you want to check the references I have used in this topic, pwede nyo screenshot and visit these pages. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. And again, I am Angelica Pagaran, or you can call me Angge, sa akong intern dito sa Filipino Science Hub. Thank you guys for listening. I hope to see you sa mga next na lecture videos natin and next na mga content. Thank you, Phil Sci-Hubbers!